In this lecture, we are going to begin our discussion of objects in JavaScript. During the development of our theme, we got a taste of objects with JSON. As a reminder, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. The syntax for JSON was heavily inspired by JavaScript's object syntax. By knowing JSON, you already have an idea of what an object is. An object is a data type for storing a group of data. They're very similar to arrays. However, there are some big differences between the two. Let's get into an example. Inside the browser, open the Snippets section of the Developer Tools. We will be working with the index file. Inside the file, clear the existing code. We're going to start fresh. Let's create a variable called checking account. The value for this variable will be a pair of curly brackets. From within this object, we can add what's known as properties. Properties are key value pairs. The syntax for creating a property is the same as creating a property in a JSON object with one difference. Let's add a property called name with a value of John. Here's the first difference. Property names do not need to be wrapped with quotes. In JSON, our code would become invalid if we were missing double quotes surrounding the property name. JavaScript doesn't care about double quotes. They're completely optional. Let's try adding another property called balance. The value for this property will be 1000. Properties can be set to any type of value. Just like that, we've created our first object. Unlike arrays, the values within an object can be referenced by their name instead of a numeric index. Let's try accessing a property. Below the object, add an alert function. The syntax for accessing a value from an object is called dot notation. Inside the alert function, pass in the following value, checking account dot balance. To begin, you must reference the object where the value exists. In this example, we're trying to access the balance of the checking account. Before doing so, we need to reference the checking account variable. Next, we need to type a dot to grab a value within the object. Lastly, we can type the property name. Let's try running the script. Inside the alert box, the balance from the account has been rendered. Perfect. Objects can offer so much more. We're not limited to strings, numbers, and booleans. Arrays can be added to an object. Inside the object, define an array called deposits with the following numbers: 200, 400, 400. Let's imagine we're keeping track of the deposits made to the account. Inside the alert function, update the value to the following: checking account dot deposits 2. In this example, we're missing object and array syntax, which is completely allowed. You can access an array after accessing the property storing the array. The same is true vice versa. We're allowed to have an array of objects. Before accessing an object's properties, we must access the item via its index. Let's try running the script. The last number from the array should appear in the alert box. So far, so good. There's one last feature worth talking about. Objects can support functions. JSON does not allow functions. This is because JSON is not a language for processing logic. We're completely limited to raw data. JavaScript supports functions from within an object. Let's define a function for performing a withdrawal. Inside the object, define a property called withdraw. The value for this property will be an anonymous function. Anonymous functions are functions without a name. Assigning a name is not necessary. JavaScript will store the function under the withdraw property. There's a shorthand syntax for writing a function. The function keyword and the colon character can be removed. This shorthand syntax will result in a function definition. You may prefer it over the longer syntax. For the rest of this course, we're going to stick to this shorthand syntax. In my opinion, it's easier to read. Next, let's add an argument to the function called amount. Inside the function, let's deduct the amount from the balance. Updating a property is the same as updating a variable. We must access the property before assigning a new value. Write the following code. Checkingaccount.balance equals checkingaccount.balance minus amount. We've got a long line of code. However, all we're doing is deducting the amount from the balance. At the start of the line, we're accessing the balance property. Next, we're subtracting the amount argument from the balance property. Let's try testing our code. Below the object, run the withdraw function with a value of 200. Once again, functions can be accessed from within an object using dot notation. After accessing the object's properties, we can run a function like any other function. Let's update the alert function to output the new balance. To recap, we have a function called withdraw, which will deduct the balance. The amount deducted will be based on the value passed into the function. We're executing this function before checking the balance. If we did everything right, we should have a new balance. Run the script. In the alert, the new balance gets rendered. Objects in JavaScript are much more powerful than objects in JSON. Being able to add functions gives us control over an object's properties. But wait, there's more. This line of code is way too long. It can be difficult to read. Luckily, there is a feature for shortening this line of code. It's called the this keyword. Inside the function, replace the checking account object with the this keyword. For most beginners, the this keyword can be a confusing concept to understand. I'll try my best to explain this keyword. The this keyword is a special keyword in the JavaScript language for referencing an object from within. Inside our function, we're attempting to update the balance property. The balance property exists within the same object as the withdraw function. They have a relationship. The this keyword will attempt to search through the same object the withdraw function was defined in. If the withdraw function were defined elsewhere, the this keyword wouldn't work. For this reason, we can't use the this keyword during the execution of the withdraw function. JavaScript wouldn't know where to define the object. The this keyword may only be used from within an object. Let's try running our script. The same result will appear in the alert box. In a nutshell, the this keyword is a quick and easy way to grab a value from the same object. Furthermore, it can be useful from accidentally selecting the wrong object. What if we had a savings and investment account? It's likely that these accounts may have a separate object with their own balances. To prevent us from accidentally selecting the wrong object, the this keyword guarantees that you're grabbing properties from the same object it was used in. Overall, it's a common keyword to use with objects. We'll get a lot of practice with it. One last thing. Functions defined in an object can be referred to as a method. Functions and methods can be interchangeable terms. However, there is a distinction. Normally, developers will refer to functions inside an object as a method. Functions outside of an object are called a function. That wraps up our discussion of objects in JavaScript. Let's explore some objects defined by the language.